Hi, I'm Thomas Mocha, and in this video, I'm going to show you how generative AI technologies can be used in bulk processing of repetitive tasks. This video is divided into three sections. First, we assume a scenario of an internal audit in an organization. This is a situation where someone needs to go through a lot of documents and validate the content of these documents in a short period of time. In the second part of this video, I'm going to be using Excel to not only create unique prompts, but also to retrieve in large volume responses from a large language model. In the third part of this video, I will automate the process of creating a report that summarizes and extracts insights from an online survey. In this example, we will look at a task that is very much repetitive and tedious. More specifically, we will look at processing of scanned documents. I have example of three documents like that, so I selected a case of processing certificates of origin. Let's have a look at one of these documents. Certificates of origin are commonly used in international trade, and they belong to a range of documents that companies need to present to claim payments or receive goods at customs. So there's all sorts of situations where in international trade these types of documents are used, and you can see that as the name indicates, they are showing the origin, the country of origin for goods that are being shipped, who is the exporter, and then what types of goods are there. And then there's also information about here. We can see invoice number, right? So these are, in a way, fairly standard document, but then every country will have own templates for these. And also, as you can see, in this case, this is a JPEG file. So this is a scan. We can't just directly copy text from this document, and because of the design of the document, even the automatic optical character recognition might not work very well. So let's say that in this scenario, we will have a situation where our company is undergoing internal audit. So we need to evaluate or investigate the quality of our processes where we handle these documents. So, for example, where our local team in different business units or sales teams are, or maybe logistics teams are submitting documents or receiving documents from logistics service providers, and they need to ensure that these documents are in order. But then we are running an internal audit and we want to check how well this process is actually working. So what we could do is we could randomly sample, let's say, I don't know, maybe 1% of all the certificates of origin that we have collected over the last year, and then check whether they match or whether they are properly filled in, and whether they match with orders or some other requirements that we might have. So let's take a simple case of trying to evaluate whether a certificate of origin appears to be filled in correctly. So we can ask, of course, we could ask some of our team members to manually review this type of documents, but let's try to ask ChatGPT to help us with that task. So what I'm going to do is I will take these three documents, which are just my small sample of the certificates of origin. They come from different countries, and I will upload them to our ChatGPT window. So in this case, we are defining the prompt in such a way that we want the model to evaluate whether these certificates of origin appear to be filled in correctly. And of course, the answer needs to be provided one by one. Otherwise, we might not be able to keep track of which answer relates to which document. So let's submit that. All right, so we can see that these files are now uploaded and it is starting to process them. So what I'm going to do now is I will let it finish and then I will look at the results together. All right, it has now finished processing. So let's have a look at the results. So the first one is this COSL, so Certificate of Origin from Sri Lanka. And now the interesting thing here is that this document is blank. So the model has recognized that this is a template for a certificate of origin, but in fact the document is blank. So we can have a look at it, and indeed it is blank template of a certificate of origin. So it has correctly spotted this issue here. Now, looking at the second document, which is from UK, it indicates that country of origin is United Kingdom, Belgium, China, Germany, South Africa. It does not say that there are any issues with this document, so it seems to be filled out in the sense that all necessary information is probably there. So at least for an uninformed observer or evaluator, this would look like a properly filled in document. But if we want to be sure, then of course we would need to have expertise in trade documentation and compliance. But for the purpose of, let's say, this kind of even first round evaluation, it already is a good indication that this one looks potentially reliable information there. And then looking at the last one, so this one, it appears that it's also filled in correctly. So if we have a quick look at this first one from UK, so you can see that there is information here available, and then the last one from China, it is also filled in. So at least for the purpose of doing this kind of first round of analysis and flagging potential issues, bigger issues, this type of evaluation would potentially speed up internal audit process significantly, so that the attention of people who are doing the analysis would be directed towards these documents that are most likely to be problematic. So this is a first example of bulk processing task that is enabled by this type of large language model. In the first part of this video, we have now leveraged the capabilities of large language models and generative AI tools to help us in bulk processing of documents. Now we'll move to the second part, where we'll be also doing repetitive tasks, but this time we'll be using generative AI tools from within Excel and Excel formulas. All right, let's continue our examples where large language model-based tools can help us in processing in bulk repetitive tasks. And now we have used ChatGPT in the previous example. We will now move on to a completely different environment, which might seem surprising to many of you. And in this case, this is going to be Excel. So Excel in many situations is the tool of choice for data analysis, data manipulation in businesses around the world. So I think it would be natural to look for ways to leverage large language models or tools based on these models from inside Excel. So in this example, let's say that we are working in supply chain function in an organization, and our company is offering or selling chemicals to various industries. for the purpose of their internal processes, their manufacturing or whatever processes they might have. And now we would like to plan our development work of supply chain activities, right? So to do that, we ideally would want to know what things might be coming when it comes to our customer portfolio, right? So the changes that are taking place at customers' facilities and operations might impact the way we are delivering our own goods, our chemicals to these customers. So in this fictitious example, let's say that we have a system from which we can export this type of data, and that system is used by sales team. So this could be a customer relationship management, CRM system, and our salespeople or customer relationship managers, whenever they meet with customers, they can write down a brief note, just a sentence or two about expected future developments that they have learned about that could be relevant for our company, and what the customers might be doing in the future, just so that this type of information is stored in our systems and can be used. It's kind of natural for the sales team to use this type of information. But even though this information is not specifically made for the purpose of helping in the planning of supply chain activities, we could still extract valuable insights from this information. So what we could do is we could read all of this type of status updates or future developments that our sales team noted for each customer. And now we have here 40 something rows in this example document, but we could easily imagine that this number goes to hundreds or thousands, right? So then maybe it becomes a very big project to go through all this information, especially that not all this information will be relevant for our planning purposes. So what we can do is we can leverage the reasoning and language processing capabilities of large language models to extract and kind of identify which information is potentially most relevant and useful for us. So what we are going to do here is we need to create a prompt that will be customized for each specific customer, and then call a service that can process this prompt and return to us answer. And for the purpose of this exercise, I have created a user-defined function in Excel to do exactly that. So we will not need to actually leave from Excel as a user to perform this action. So let's go one step at a time. So first we need to create the prompt that will help us to guide the model. So we have these future developments here, and given these future developments at the customer's facilities, we would like to evaluate potential impact on the supply chain of chemicals which we are providing to these companies, our customers. If there are no major changes expected, then it means that we are assuming that there are no supply chain management and logistics. So that's what the SCML stands for. No supply chain management logistics changes expected. And we don't need to provide any. We don't need any reasoning kind of explanation of if this is the conclusion. But if there are some potential changes in supply chain management and logistics, then we would like to see some reasoning where the model can explain to us why so that it will help us get into details faster. And then, of course, we need to provide further details in our prompt. So we need to provide this future developments and a few other details. So let's say that we will create also prompt part 2, and we can create this type of function that will add this information for us, the second part of the prompt. So we want to still include information about the customer, this is the name of the customer, country, what type of business segment they're in, and then what is the location of the facility, right? So here we have this. I can make it a little bit wider so it's clearly visible. All right. And for now, I will expand it to the second cell as well. And then the final prompt combines all the information that we want to provide to the model. So we want to first give this opening statement. What is it that we are after? Then we want to provide this future developments. So that's this information. And then we want to close off by providing some finer details about the customer. And then this future developments and part 2 of the prompt are going to be changing for each customer. But this first part of the prompt is fixed. So we can have a fixed reference there. So here is the full text of the prompt. It doesn't fit into the cell, so we can't see the whole text here, but it is a combination of these 3 fields together. So this one, and this one together create our prompt. And I will copy it down as well. So here we have, you can see that this matches the second company. So this is Calgary here, oil and gas, right? So now we can have the implications column, which will be where the results should appear, and we have this kind of function called OpenAI. So let's input the prompt there, and then so this appears to be working correctly. So because there are no significant changes planned for this first customer, so that should be indicated, leading to basically no major changes in supply chain management and logistics. However, for the second customer, there's a plan to expand the facility, increase crude processing capacity. So let's see, I will copy it down. And now we can see that I will extract this full text. All right, so this is the text that was produced by our call to OpenAI. So you can see that there are potential changes in the supply chain logistics for this customer. And all right, so the response looks reasonable. And of course, we could use the normal functionality in Excel and just copy all these formulas down and get results for all of these customers at once. So in this way, we could already have material ready for us to focus on, right? So this kind of preliminary screening of this future developments that are indicated by our customer relationship managers, we could use this information at scale to drive our planning work for the supply chain management function in the company. To wrap up this example, I would still like to show you very briefly Excel VBA, so Visual Basic code that is behind this user-defined function. So under the hood, this user-defined function called OpenAI is actually fairly compact. What is happening here is that user message, so this is what we provide as input to our function, is sent to OpenAI's endpoint. And now here is a definition of the message, so the payload that it goes to their servers. There's a couple of things worth pointing out here. So first, I'm providing this initial guidance for the model so that it acts as an assistant that is specialized in supply chain management and logistics. And then our message or our prompt is then provided after that. So this is this user message. So this is the prompt that we put in inside Excel, inside the formula. And then other thing that is maybe here just worth recognizing is that this is a message that is being sent to an external server. So it means that in this case, our data from Excel needs to leave our local machine, go to an external server. In this case, this is a server that is used by OpenAI to host the model and service these workloads. And then it goes back over the internet to our machine to display the results. So it means that we need to have a key to access services of OpenAI. So in this case, this key is defined here. So I will go back to Excel for a moment. So I have a separate sheet here where I have provided the secret key that allows OpenAI to recognize that the request is coming from me because I have created this this key specifically for the purpose of using their API for this example. And this key should be kept private, so you should not be sharing it with others. And that's why I'm also not displaying it here. And then maybe the final point is that this is actually a fairly simple code. So even if you don't know much about coding, it is actually fairly compact. So you can see that there's not very much complicated things happening here. So it's essentially collecting the message. The function just takes the prompt, sends it to OpenAI server, and then it receives the message back, and then it displays that response for us. So with that, I think that I was able to show you that even from within familiar tools, you might be able to tap powers of large language models to automate and bulk process certain manual tasks. Now that we have tapped the powers of large language models from within Excel and Excel formulas, we can move on to another example of automation. This time, however, the use of generative AI technologies might not be obvious to the users. We'll be automating the process of report creation. All right, let's continue with the idea of automating tasks and working outside of the familiar interface of ChatGPT, for example. This time, let's say that we have a feedback form that is available for our employees, and we are collecting ideas about what we could do to improve efficiency at our facility. Let's say we are some sort of manufacturing company, and we want to get feedback from people who work at the facility to try to make things better, more efficiently. So let's first say that the feedback that we can provide here, just as an example, is all right. So this could be one simple example of feedback, and we can submit this form. So now, if we look at the Excel file, or this actually Google Sheets file that is collecting the responses, you can see that I have provided here some dummy responses or earlier responses, and now you can see that our response is here at the end of the queue. So now what we would like to automate is the task of going through all of this feedback points. So one way to do it is to identify common themes, summarize all of these statements. They are few sentences long at the most. So you can see this is like 2 lines, maybe roughly, maybe 3 lines sometimes. And okay, I provided now a short one towards the end. So if there was an employee that is tasked with sifting through this and trying to condense some of the key ideas that could be used for efficiency improvement, we can leverage the capabilities of large language models to perform this type of task. What we have here is a simple Google Docs document. This is the place where we will create the report summarizing feedback. And I have added here a button. It's actually just an image with a link. And when I press the link, I will activate a background process that updates the report. So what is happening in the background, I will describe in a moment. But first we can have a look at the results. All right. So now you can see that the content was added automatically to the report or to the document, and it includes a summary of the feedback. And then all of the feedback points are actually repeated here. So you can see a big block of text where it is possible to identify more details. Of course, if we wanted, we could exclude this from the report. So it could include just the summary. But let's have a quick look at this summary. So first we have key issues and problems reported by the employees. Right. So there is a fairly long list of issues presented here. This looks reasonable, and I mean, given the inputs that I have provided earlier, so the long list of feedback points, that aligns, really the summary aligns well with the general, let's say, intent or idea behind the points that I provided in the responses. In this case, the user generating this report doesn't really interact in any way with ChatGPT, or it doesn't need to be in a way aware of a large language model working behind the scenes, but the summary is produced by such model directly based on this feedback, which goes as input to the model as a prompt. So what we can do next is we can see how this whole process works under the hood. So the first thing is the activation of the report run. So I try to make it as simple as possible. So the way it works is that when we click this link, we are directed to a page, and there's not really content on this page. The whole idea of us going to this, visiting this customized link is to activate a process, to send a signal that this workflow of updating the report should be initiated. So we can close this page, and now we can move to a tool that I'm using to run this workflow in the background. All right, so this is a tool that software developers might use for various testing purposes, and I'll not go into details, but I will show you the general idea of how it works. So first, when we click on the button asking for an update of the report, we visit a website, and this is the link that we visited. So whenever someone visits that link, it sends a message that there's a new event. Someone activated this process. And when this link is visited, it triggers the workflow. And what happens is in this workflow is that first we are accessing our ideas for efficiency improvement responses. So that's Excel, or not actually Excel, but Google Sheets document where the results or the responses from the form are stored. And then we retrieve this range. So that's where the responses are located. I assume there will be 100, of course, later there can be more, so we can expand that. Then there's a simple step to process these responses so that they are defined as text. And then the interesting part happens. So we are sending this content of the feedback received to OpenAI, and we are using here this type of model, and we are providing this type of instructions, right? So provide a summary of key issues or problems, and then indicate how common these issues are, and summarize suggested ways for improving efficiency or operation at our facility. So given this system instructions and the prompt, which includes all the individual feedback points, the model, in this case GPT 3.5 Turbo, is generating a response, which is then added to our document. So we are updating improvement ideas report document. So we are adding this summary of feedback, and then this is the content that OpenAI is sending to us, and then we provide this initial list of feedback points collected through a survey. So what I can do now is I can rerun this whole process, so we can test the workflow, and you will see that it's running here inside this tool. All right, so now the process or the workflow is completed. I will not go through the details here, but what we should get as a result is that we have now a duplicate, so twice the same report. So we can check that in the Google Docs. So this should be the latest feedback report that we got. And here it is. Okay, there's no space because it was not designed to have duplicate like this, but here, so you can see that summary of feedback and then repetition of this. So other thing, if you remember, we initially looked at the summary of feedback. So the first summary of feedback just listed the key problems or issues here. When we run the model second time, we have slightly different interpretation of how to generate answer, because we provide actually exactly the same input. But now the model is providing not only summary of these issues, it also identifies which are the most common issues and then suggests ways for improvement. So it's probably more informative, this second version of the summary, and we could update the prompt to guide the model to provide more detailed structure. In any case, this demonstrates that we can automate some of the language-related and tasks that require cognitive processing with the use of large language model-based tools, and they can be not only accessed through chat interfaces, but they can actually be integrated into usual, let's say, tools and workflows of employees. Generative AI technologies create new and immense opportunities for automation in business context. We can now automate tasks that previously were beyond the reach of traditional approaches to automation. I hope that the examples I provided in this video will inspire you to think about what could be automated beyond the large and continuous processes, because with the help of generative AI tools, we can also automate smaller processes or repetitive tasks in one-off efforts.